Hello and welcome to No Sevens Dice Club College Football Edition, Week 4, 2024. A lot of fours in there. So last week we went 4-3, and we are 7-4 for the season. We were 3-1 with Week 1, skipped Week 2, Week 3, 4-3. Two of those four losses are LSU. They just can't cover this year, so No Sevens is picking up on that. We just can't cover. LSU can't cover. And if some of you guys said, well, we're not even picking LSU, which makes total sense because they don't cover. And some of them even started going against me and started going with South Carolina and everything else. South Carolina played a great game last week. I think even Georgia or Texas might have even had a hard time playing that team. They came out determined to beat anybody on that field. Really, hats off to South Carolina. Questionable calls with the officiating crew, but you're always going to get questionable calls with officiating crew. So let's go over Week 3 notes. Georgia almost goes down. It came down to the wire. Very, very close game against Kentucky. I don't think anybody saw that. I think if anybody expected, if anybody took the points with Kentucky, you guys were super excited, but I don't think anybody did. But Georgia loses their number 1 ranking. I think they're now number 2 in the land. Texas moves up to number 1. So, it's so hard to predict, preseason polls, and I really don't look at preseason polls or even rankings until we get into about the middle of October. Then we know who's who and what's what and everything else. LSU lost to USC, but look at what USC's doing. They're going into Michigan this year, this Saturday, and Michigan once again is the underdog. This is the crazy thing about college football. Any given Saturday, anything can happen, and it's just one of those things. All right, DirecTV is back online again for the first. Well, I wasn't here for Week 2, but Week 1 I couldn't. You couldn't watch football. Week 2 you couldn't watch college football. All sorts of people were getting upset. DirecTV was losing people by the droves. Over college football, over Monday Night Football, over the debate going on because ABC wasn't working. There were just so many things. Well, I was happy to see that because I pay for the DirecTV sports package, and it's pretty expensive, but I have every sport known to man. I got the NBA channel, I have NFL Network, I got just NFL Sunday. I have everything, and it's good to see that on Saturday because I was so worried I was going to have to go to a bar or something to watch college football. But they finally came back online. They worked out the agreement. DirecTV saying that they're going to raise the price for about like $10 for everybody, unless it's the base package, which doesn't really cover any of the sports packages. But hey, it's just how life is going. Everything's just getting more expensive these past 4 years. So vote with your wallet. All right. So who is my pick to win it all? As I always say, at the end of September, I always pick. Well, I already had this pick with Week 2 after I saw the Texas-Michigan game. And it came down to, I was going to say it's going to be Texas and Georgia going into the national championship. But after I saw Georgia play Kentucky, I kind of took that back. And I'm really not sure. I want to see Ohio State actually play somebody. Alabama looks like the real deal. They went into Wisconsin and, just dominated that game. Without Nick Saban and the new head coach that's there, they haven't skipped a beat. Jalen Milroe, the quarterback for Alabama, is looking phenomenal. The whole entire team is just doing great. They're all Nick Saban players. So they're going to be good for the next 2 or 3 years. And then we're going to see how the new coach recruits and everything else and goes from there. But I'm kind of thinking that it's going to come down to Texas and maybe Alabama in the national championship. I don't know. But for me to win it all and who I locked my pick in, I locked it in after week 2. And that is, I expect Texas to win it all. Quinn Ewers got hurt. Arch Manning took over that game and covered that over. If you guys took that over on that game, I hope you guys did. That was for last week. That was one of the wins. But Arch Manning is, man, he's part of the Manning pedigree, looking really good. Cooper Manning's son. So that's who I'm locking in, is Texas to win it all as of right now. So that's who I'm picking. And I've picked every single winner since I started my college football predictions since 2019. Every year I've picked the winner. And so hopefully I can continue that trend. Tennessee, they scored 60 points against Kent State, and I had Kent State to cover that 50 points, and by halftime, that was already gone. That was already blown out the water. Tennessee offense is looking great. They're playing Oklahoma this Saturday. We're going to go over that game a little bit more when it comes up, but Tennessee, man, you guys are looking like the real deal. Florida State 0-3. Who would have ever have thought that this was happening? It's just so crazy. You can go from the top of the mountain and literally just fall off the cliff and end up at the bottom. DJ, it's just looking bad. It's, where I was saying that DJ has a dumpster fire going, but now it looks like that dumpster fire is spreading over to the whole entire team, and the whole entire team is just becoming a dumpster fire. And it's really hard to fix all the parts and pieces that have left and moved on from Florida State. But that's where, Mike is supposed to be really good, the head coach. He's supposed to be one of the best transfer portal people, to bring them in and just instantly polish them up and put them and plug and play, and they just go. That's what they did last year. So there's just so much, you got to do. You're replacing Jordan Travis, the quarterback, with DJ, and just so many parts. But I'm telling you what, Florida, the state of Florida, is going through a big surprise right now. Well, Miami is surging, and for the longest time they were in the dumps. And Florida State's hasn't won. I don't think Florida's won a game. I was reading just right before I came online that they're talking about firing Billy Napier, but the only reason why they can't fire him is because they don't have anybody below him as like an assistant who has head coach experience. So they're wondering if they go ahead and fire Billy Napier now. Do they just burn the whole entire season and go completely winless and destroy their recruiting class coming in? And then there's even talks that the athletic director is going to get fired because he picked the last 3 head coaches and they all just blew chunks. They couldn't win the games. So there's all sorts of turmoil going on and everything else. And who knows? The players don't want to play for Billy Napier, and that's what I keep on reading over and over again. They literally quit on him. They don't want to play for him. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on in the locker room, but those players have literally quit on Billy Napier pretty much. The money line parlays are leaving. It's not me. It's, I guess you guys are making huge bets on my money line parlays, because the ones where we used to be able to pick Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, like back in the old days, and just go put $20 on it and you go win an extra 20 or extra 40. I guess you guys must be putting $4,000 on these, because the money lines for those teams that are going to beat up Sister Mary the Poor, where we used to be able to make a little bit of money, are gone. They're no longer on the sports books anymore. So it's harder and harder to come up with the money line parlays. So I'm just letting you know that my parlays are going to get shorter now and probably a little bit more difficult, but we did nail our money line parlay last week. We did pick up that 7-team parlay. Even if you added LSU, you got a little bit of a bonus. I think I put $20 on it and I won $38, total. All right, let's go over this week's games, and here we go. All right. So I know you guys sent me some comments and like, no sevens, why you're so heavy on LSU? Why do you like LSU so much? Why do you bet so much on LSU? Guys, if you followed me throughout the years, almost every week has been LSU since I started this. So if you're not happy with it, you don't have to bet on LSU. It's okay. Move on. Move on. You don't have to send me the comments. So UCLA at LSU. It's minus 24 against LSU. It's 2:45 p.m. game on CBS. This game comes back from the Ed Ogeron years. This game was played, I think it was during the COVID years. It had to be during 2020. And that's when it was the season opener. Ed Ogeron, we go to UCLA, we call them the Sissy Blue uniforms that they were playing. And they pretty much just destroyed us. And that was pretty much the end of the Ed Ogeron era. After that, it just pretty much, LSU fell apart. And technically, you can really kind of look at it since UCLA, because we won the national championship right before that game from the previous season with Joe Burrow and Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and all of them. And ever since we had that game, we really haven't been the same since. So maybe once when we play this team, we can actually close the book on this bad juju, because, man, it's been 4 years looking for this revenge. And now none of these players are on these teams who lost in 2020, except for one player, and he's on the injured reserve, and it's John Emery, who's a 6-year senior, and he was part of the 2019 national championship run when he was a freshman with LSU, and he's out for the season with, I think, a torn ankle ligament or something like that. So it's a whole new thing. LSU says that they got a revenge factor, that they're coming into Death Valley and they do just want to win this game in a dominant fashion. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how this game plays out. There's like I said, it's been 4 years of craziness since then. I mean, we got 2 new head coaches playing these 2 teams now, new players. I mean, new everything. So this really isn't a rival game anymore like it was supposed to be. I think this game was supposed to be played in 2022, and it got pushed back. So anyway, LSU hasn't covered either time I picked them. So I'm going to go a little bit of a change. I'm going to pick LSU to win the game, but I'm going to take UCLA plus 24 points and see how that works out for me. So let's lock it in. Because, I mean, if something's not working, and you tried it for 2 weeks, and it's not working where LSU can't cover, and I mean, hey, look, it happens. I mean, Bama was like that a couple of times where Bama couldn't cover a couple of weeks, or Clemson couldn't cover. I mean, it just happens to all of us. All right, next up is Marshall at Ohio State. The over-under is 51.5. It's an 11 a.m. game. It's on Fox. Like I said, Ohio State really hasn't been tested. I don't know what to bet on Ohio State. I don't know if I should take the points or I should take the over. But I do know one thing. We're playing Marshall. And the safe bet is to go with the over-under on this game. Instead of trying to figure out the points, figuring out if Marshall is going to do this. We just don't. Ohio State's never really been tested yet this season. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this because I want to spend some more time on other games. So I'm just going to make this really simple. There's really not a lot to cover here. We're just going to take the over, 51.5 points, and move on. Lock it in. All right, got it. 51.5 over. Next up is Tennessee. Over under again, 57.5. You're going to see a lot of over unders because this to me is kind of the safer way to bet when you just don't know. You're still trying to figure out teams and stuff. Like Tennessee and Oklahoma. Oklahoma almost got scared and almost lost to Tulane. In my opinion, I think Tulane should have won that game, but Oklahoma pulled it out. Tennessee blows the door off of Kent State. That was one of our losses last week. Even with the 50-point spread, Tennessee still just wipes them off the mat. And how good is Tennessee? I mean, we really don't know. I mean, we don't know what to expect. Is Oklahoma really that good, or is Tulane really that good? I mean, we just don't know these teams yet, and we really don't know until the end of September. And when you get to the first week of October, well, college football season's already over, pretty much halfway through. We're already at the halfway point, which is crazy. Well, yeah, no, I'll take that back because now we have a 12-team college football playoff. So it's technically not over. The season is, but playoff starts. So I guess you can kind of say, you're kind of splitting hairs. So to me, I think college football season, first week of October, you're halfway through the college football season. Hard to believe. So Tennessee, Oklahoma, how good is their defenses? That is the question. Oklahoma has got a pretty good defense. Tennessee, I really don't know how good their defense is. I do know Tennessee can score a lot of points. They've been racking up points. Oklahoma can score some points. So this game, to me, leans more over. And if this over-under gets to 60, I would fade this game. But at 57.5, I think it's too good to pass up. I really see this game kind of being like 30 to 35, 30 to 32, somewhere in the 30s. That's where I kind of see this game lean. So that's the reason why if it goes to the 60s, I would fade it. So it's at 6:30 on ABC. So let's go ahead and take the over at 57.5 and lock it in. Okay, next up is Georgia Southern at Ole Miss. It's minus 35.5 against Ole Miss. Ole Miss, they had a crazy stat. It was something on ESPN that they've outscored their opponents so far this season by like 98 or 105. It's one of the biggest things, like combined points so far this season. It's one of the biggest lopsided point differentials. I forgot when they said it was almost like 100 years or something like that. It was something insane. And if they keep on doing it, they're on pace to break almost every point spread record and all sorts of records and stuff. You got to hand it to Lane Kiffin and the Lane Train. I mean, he just knows offense. He is so gifted with offenses, and it would have been really interesting to see when he was with Alabama if Nick Saban would have just turned him loose and let him run his offense the way he wanted to. And Nick Saban would get angry at Lane Kiffin because he'll be like, slow it down, you're going too fast, my defense can't rest. And he was just getting so mad, but I mean, they were just blowing opponents out the water and stuff. It was a great thing to see, Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin. And I'm glad that Lane Kiffin's doing well because, man, he had a lot of controversy with head coaching jobs, at Tennessee, going over to the West Coast. I mean, just all sorts of just trouble stuff. It seems like Nick Saban kind of turned his life around a little bit for him. But I think Ole Miss is just going to keep on winning in this. I think the Lane Train's just going to keep rolling. I mean, they're playing Georgia Southern. This game is probably going to end up like Tennessee. It's going to be 60 points by halftime. So there's really not a lot to discuss on this. So let's just go ahead and just make it simple. Not a lot to break down. Ole Miss is just going to keep rolling. They're just going to keep going for style points and everything else. So let's take Ole Miss minus 35.5. All right, there it is. It is locked in. Next up is UL Monroe at Texas. Now, the big thing is Quinn Ewers. Is he going to be coming back, or is it going to be Arch Manning? There's so many questions about who is going to be the starting quarterback for Texas. Either way, you can't go wrong. I mean, Arch Manning is really gifted, as you guys saw in the last week's game when he took over when Quinn Ewers got hurt. They're playing UL Monroe. I actually went to this university to go watch, I think it was a volleyball game or something. I was up there for something, I can't remember. And this school is so small that, yeah, I think it's only 2 city blocks or something like that. It's really small. It might not be that small, but it's really small. I mean, I went to their stadium, and I think it holds maybe 1,000 people, 2,000 people. It's almost like a high school stadium. It's not big at all. Really, really small. And so UL Monroe is going to get a check for $1 million. They're going to be the tackling dummies. They're going to be the warm-up team for Texas right before they get into the heart of the SEC play and everything else. Texas has got some really tough games coming up, so I'm really looking forward to seeing how Texas does against the SEC schedule. But right now, they're just steamrolling opponents. UL Monroe, I mean, this is a high school team. I mean, there's nothing up there in North Louisiana. So don't look for this game to be any surprise. Last week we took Texas in the over. We're going to do it again too at this because Texas just keeps on covering for us. So we're just going to keep on riding the hot hand. Look for Texas just to blow UL Monroe out the water. And Texas is going to be doing all the scoring. I think this is going to be like how it was last week. So if it goes above 55, fade this game. But at 52.5, this is perfect. This is where we want to be. So let's go ahead and take Texas over 52.5 at 7 p.m. All my times are Central Standard Time. But let's lock it in, 52.5. There you go. So we got quite a bit of overs. We got UCLA plus 24, over 51.5, over 57.5. Ole Miss minus 35.5, over 52.5. And hopefully I can win all those because I made a nice little parlay on that. And that would be nice for the charity fund that we've been raising. And so far, we're doing quite well with it. I don't want to quite give out the numbers just yet because we're still got a little bit ways to go in the season. But the charity fund is building. I'm really happy about it. Hopefully we can give away a good chunk of money for the kids at Christmas and do something really, really wonderful for them, like for Toys for Tots or something like that. We'll figure out where we're going to go, and I'll let you guys know. So let's go into the parlay and see how we do. All right, like I said, my money line parlays have disappeared. So right now, this is all we get, guys. I can't take Texas anymore. I can't take Ole Miss anymore. I mean, I can't take Ohio State anymore. This is what I was talking about. I don't know how much longer I can do this. So this is going to be the money line bets. So this is going to be LSU, Missouri, Texas A&M, and Kansas State. And the Kansas State games are playing BYU. So if you want to fade that game, you can. But the ones I feel confident are LSU, Missouri, Texas A&M for sure. Kansas State, I think they're just going to, it's a late game for them, so it could go either way. It's at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, I believe. So that game could really go either way, but I expect Kansas State to win that game against BYU. But yep, that's my picks for week 4. This will finish up September, and as long as we win 1, we can tie for the month of September. If we win 2, we have won the week or the month of September, and we're continuing on that hot streak. As you can see, we have won in 22, 23, and we're looking for that 1 month where we can add 24 to that, because last losing month we've had was in 2021, which is amazing, and I think that was September that year. So guys, good luck with all your picks. If there's something you like, go ahead and put it in the comment section. Share with everybody. Hey man, I like this point spread and everything else. Go ahead and share with the community. I have no problem with that at all. I have a couple of people email me and say, No Sevens, I like X for this. Is it okay if I put it in the comments? Put it in the comments, man. We're all a community. We're all here. I am not here to dictate any kind of terms whatsoever. We're all here to grow and learn. So good luck with week 4, and No Sevens. We'll catch you on the flip side.